2 weeks ago, Protect dropped his album 500 Days of Summer, and I was impressed not just by the nostalgic feel of the album, but also by the insane production. While we can clearly hear elements of the modern rage genre, Protect manages to add his own more emotional sound to the already existing rage style. In today's video, I'll break down how I created the beat in the same style and tell you everything you need to know to create your own beats in this style. First of all, I want you to listen to the finished beat, so you can get a sense of the sound we are after. Now, let's take a closer look at the melody. I started with laying down a simple melody using Trisent, which is free by the way. This first layer is crucial to set the feeling of the whole beat, so I made sure it felt nostalgic just like most of the beats on 500 Days of Summer. The only processing I did on this track was a simple low-cut EQ and a spreader to make it sound wider. For the next layer, I found a whining kind of sound in Surge XT, which also adds nicely to the emotional sound we are after. To isolate the whining sound, I used an EQ to cut out everything else covering it. Next, I laid down a lead sound with an orchestral feeling. To make it even bigger, I used reverb, which made the sound more epic. I wanted another instrument to fill up the high end of the melody, so I laid down another lead melody that works well with the first lead. For the last sound of the melody, I copied the MIDI of the first instrument to accentuate the main melody I came up with first. That's it for the individual melody tracks. Now I want to talk about the processing I did on the melody bus. I started the effect chain with Shaperbox because I wanted the melody to have more structure than it had before. Specifically, I used a liquid and a drive preset and turned down the mix of both effects to keep them subtle. To make the signal tighter, I used a glue compressor. The important thing here is the longer attack and release times, which compress the signal in a very subtle way. Also remember with compression, don't overdo it. If you're interested in how compression can be used in different situations, let me know in the comments. Next in the chain, I used a simple EQ to get rid of unnecessary low end. The last plugin I used on the melody bus is a spreader, which pushes the signal out of the middle of the stereo image. This step is really important because it makes space in the center for the 808 and percussion. That's it for the melody part. I think we nailed the nostalgic and dreamy vibe of the melodies used on 500 Days of Summer. In the next step, we'll cover the drums. I started with a simple hi-hat pattern to set bounce for the upcoming elements. Here I added reverb to make the head sound more realistic and panned it slightly to the left to fill out the stereo image. For the next element, I added a simple clap, which complements the hi-hat nicely. For extra bounce, I threw in a snare hit here and there. To finish the drum section, I used an open hat and a chant sound to fill the unused space of the earlier elements. I put all of the drums into a group and applied saturation to make them sound sharper. Altogether, the drums sound simple but add up very nicely with the melody. Now we are getting to the 808. In this case, I decided to use an 808 with an integrated kick. I laid down a simple pattern following the root notes of the melody. If your 808s aren't hitting as hard as you'd like, try this trick. After you import your 808 one-shot into your sampler, activate the filter section and turn up the drive just a bit. This small change instantly makes your 808 hit harder. To finish up the beat, I added different rises and effects to smooth out the transitions between parts. The last step was putting a soft clipper on the master channel to add the omnipresent distortion that defines the rage genre Protect is working in. That's it for today's breakdown of a Protect 500 Days of Summer type beat. I hope you learned something from this. If you did, consider liking and subscribing. Thanks for watching and see you next time.
Purchase your tracks today.